All right, thanks, Brad. So let's get started. ClouDTest, as Brad said, is delivered as a web application. You'll see this? Okay, and what we're going to do is take you through the three different areas that ClouDTest provides. It allows you to build tests, it allows you to deploy infrastructure to run the test, and it also allows you to, of course, run the test and analyze the results in real time. So I'm going to start just by how you actually build a test. And the first thing you do is you use the agent that we have that you can deploy on your machine to record. You can record from any browser. The agent basically functions as a proxy, and when you record the interactions with your website, you just use any browser that you want. We will capture every request-response pair and present it to you as a message in this recording editor UI. You can see that you can browse through the different messages that went through the page. You can see the HTML. We color code them so you can easily identify JavaScript versus CSS versus different GIFs and images. And you can see the images that actually were recorded. You can see all the details about the request and response and really go through the recording and analyze it. The recording is not something that is changing in the product, and so to start actually analyzing the test and creating your different user scenario, you will be converting the recording to what we call a clip. And so when you convert it to a clip, you can keep all of the think times, all of the delays that you actually did when you were browsing through the website, so you can really capture exactly what the user was doing when they were interacting with the website. Obviously, some pages you wait on longer because there's more content to read or browse. We will identify all of the target web applications or web services that you were actually going through this test, and we will create them dynamically for you if they are not already in the system. We will also group all of these messages intelligently together into web pages, exactly as you saw them on the website. And I will show you that in the clip when we convert, after we convert this recording to a clip. So here we're going through the process of converting. We see a little progress bar that tells us that we are now done. And then we can click on continue to go into the clip editor. And in the clip editor, we will see the clip that we now can manipulate and change as it was converted from the recording. So we can open each one of those pages, and you can see that we have two sections to the page. We have the HTML document, which is the top-level, response that we got to the page. And inside the HTML document, we can see that it has a lot of static or dynamic resources which were fetched, and we will intelligently group them together for you based on refer headers and things of that nature. So you can really browse through the page. You can delete messages that you're not interested. You can drag and drop to arrange things around. So even though this is a completely web-based application, you are really free to change anything here as if you were working with an installed client. But keep in mind that there is no downloads or installs for editing the test, for launching environments, or for analyzing the results. We don't use any Flash. We don't use any components like that. Everything is done via DHTML, JavaScript, and Ajax. So once we have a clip, ready to go, what we will want to do is take it and actually build it into what we call a composition. So what you can do is you can basically go into the composition editor, and then again you are in a drag and drop environment, which allows you to see how you will build and comprise a complex test without actually looking at code. If you want to, we can drop you into a code editor, and you can see everything that is done via JavaScript, which is very useful because sometimes the website have JavaScript on them, which you can drag and drop into the test. But you are really editing the complex scenario mix, or the composition as we call it, as if you were editing media. So you can pick different clips, which is what I was showing you before, which is the user scenario, and just drag and drop them visually, and create different tracks and assign percentages to those tracks and assign how many machines you would like to be played and how many times they should iterate and so on and so forth, until you have built a complex scenario that exactly represents the test mix that you want to do today and the different locations around the world in which you would like to deploy these servers and run the test from. So once you have the composition ready to go, what you can do next is think about where you want to execute the test from. And so for that, we will go into the Grids UI, and this will be new for our appliance customers. Everything that I've shown you so far, our appliance customers are very used to do, to create clips, recordings, convert them into compositions, and run tests behind the firewall. But what we're doing with ClouDTest Pro is we're actually opening the entire power of the cloud into all of our users via this new appliance. And so what you can do is start to deploy servers in the cloud to meet the needs of where you want to test from. So you can build a new grid, as we call it, and you can give it a name. And then you can start adding locations. And you can see that in this grid that I've predefined, I added 4 locations. In these locations, you can use, for example, on this machine, I have access to 2 APIs. Those can be, EC2 in all of their locations. It can be Azure with all of these locations. You can also deploy servers in IBM, GoGrid. And you can deploy any type of server. If you want to get, a large server, an extra large, quadruple, so we support all of the types that these cloud providers support. And then you just define how many load servers you want in each location, and we automatically assign a number of analytics servers to each number of load servers. And once you finish defining the locations, you can go ahead and switch to the next screen in which you will actually see the deployment as it happens in progress. So the important thing to note about this is that we used to do all of this process manually, and it used to take hours to get, a grid up and running to run a test for. The process can be pretty error-prone because sometimes the cloud provider will tell you that you have a server, and when you actually try to deploy your software to it, you will see that the server is not functioning. And sometimes even after you deploy your software to it, if you try to do a health check into that piece of code to make sure that the load server or the analytics server is up and running, you will find that they're not working. And so instead of spending hours with the entire server team before each test and having this very, excruciating experience to get a grid up and running, we decided to completely automate this process. And so once I click deploy instances, the product would do everything that we used to do manually in a multi-threaded fashion, so that you see these blue progress bars progressing is what we are allocating servers. And the green progress bars that are chasing them are really telling me that those servers have not just been allocated in all of these cloud providers around the world, but we have also done a check server, meaning we have made calls into our load servers and our analytics servers to make sure that they're up and running, they're functioning, and they will be able to run the test. Now you will see that some of those, we actually got some errors that we can retry. And we have built an extensive system of, kind of error and recovery mechanism. Everything will happen in a multi-threaded fashion. And sometimes we will see that we need to deallocate some servers that were not healthy and get new ones and then do another health check on them. The point is you get all of this power now from the appliance, and once the grid is ready, you will get a big, grid check mark, and now you know that you can take your composition and run it on this infrastructure, which can be private clouds, public clouds, in many different cloud providers that we currently support.